Hogstye.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to the show. It is the Hogsty. We have the full crew: Alex, Steve, Dave. Uh, I feel weird because I feel like this game was a long, long time ago. It's only Wednesday. It was a
This
Sunday
has
night.
been a really long week for me, and it does feel like this game happened forever ago.
It does. You know why, Steve? I think it was the early start time. You know that 8:30 your time, 9:30 start time for me.
And just
Uh,
for the record, I'm all about if we could start every game at 8:30 for
oh yeah,
purposes of the hog style, I would be much happier.
8:30 a.m. Clearly, not
AM, yeah,
p.
8,
Yes,
not PM. No,
yes.
we hate night games on this show.
Yes, the morning games give me a new appreciation, even for my love of 1 o'clock games, which are fantastic also. But
I
yeah,
tell you what, I tell you what, being the Pacific time zone for this past weekend, it made it pretty interesting. I was
oh
actually kind of
wow,
enjoyed it a little bit.
6:30 in the morning. Then was that?
Yes, 6:30 in the
I
Wow.
morning.
would be all about that. I'd be done at 9:30, 10 o'clock. I'd be
But
all about that, man.
You could like get through the first quarter and a half, at the gym working out a little, then you go have a nice breakfast, watch the rest of the game, and you're on your way for the day.
So we'd like to
uh,
respectfully request the NFL schedule every Washington game at 8:30 in the morning, please.
Yes.
And no more night games. We're sick and tired
9:30
of night
Eastern,
games.
9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central. Yeah,
At a
I'm fine
minimum,
with it.
and,
stop giving us night games, please.
and can we stop having a scenario where we have to rely on the kicker to win the game for us, and when we're overseas,
Oh,
because that doesn't seem to work out very well.
well, and by
That
the
was the
way,
second time that's
yeah,
happened. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
wasn't that also the case with a lot of overseas games this year? It seems like every time they put games overseas, they're just field goal fests.
Yeah,
I,
that has happened at least once or twice, I
yeah, the
think. You're
the one
right.
with the Jets, right? Wasn't that like a 6-3 game or some kind of
Something
snooze?
like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
it
I'd
was
have
like
to
six
go.
and three at the end of the half, or something
Yeah,
like that. Yeah.
yeah. We really, I think we're embracing soccer too much in this sport. They really just want to kick the ball and not score touchdowns for some reason. I
Just
don't
because they played in Europe does not mean you need to emulate a fake sport like soccer.
exactly, but that seems to be what we're doing. I don't get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and our kicker was about as accurate as a soccer kicker too. We'll get into that. That was not enjoyable. All right, but
No.
let's get. There's one bit of news we want to get out of the way because it's on our list, and it's a nothing story, but it's worth mentioning, and that is that the team announced this week that they have signed HKS, which is one of the big stadium manufacturing building companies. There's really like only two or three in the world that do this kind of thing. Steve will be able to go into that a little, I bet. But they've signed HKS to build the stadium in DC here. If you want to know some others that they've built, it's the big ones recently were the Dallas Stadium, of course, SoFi, Lucas Oil Stadium, which I actually really love aesthetically. Very cool. Like it looks like a giant industrial warehouse from the outside, fits the vibe of where it is very well. And then I believe they did the Viking Stadium too, which also beautiful stadium. So
Yeah. So, um, I had forgotten about this company, but it's one of those stadiums. Is one of the ones I worked on actually. Um, the lawyers get involved with the architects a little bit in that they're there,
right,
and they're in the meetings sometimes, but we don't directly deal with the architects, very
right,
much. And so there's all kinds of groups and for stuff like there's construction companies and architects and project managers and
right.
consultants, and it goes on and on and on and on. A
Eventually
lot of people.
designers and all that kind of thing.
Well,
Yeah,
that's kind of the architect, is sort of the designer, but
yeah,
um, and yes, they're very specialized, for something like stadiums. Um, they're not, again, they're not people that I directly dealt with, because that's just not, we need to get
Right.
them to sign some documents and that's about it. They're working directly with the business
Right.
people who say, I want it to look like this. I couldn't care less what your building looks like, as long as it's, as long as it's to code and everything. It's not my
Right.
problem.
Right. That's really your extent of dealing with the architect.
Yes, I just I
As
need
long,
them to sign some
right.
assignments. That's about
Right.
it.
Right. No, you can't build a hunting ground where you hunt, opposing fans or sport
There's a
owner.
deed restrictions that prohibit this. Yes.
Or hunting your own fans, which would also
This
be
place
illegal.
is not zoned for hunting.
Yes. Yeah. Very, very simple things that Steve would have to ever deal with an architect on there.
You basically, I need them to assign
Right.
their contract over
Right.
to the lender, and that's about it. But
Right.
I mean, it's a good first step, and it's good to see he's hiring some professionals, some
Yeah.
people who know what they're doing,
Pe-
and not some clowns out of Des Moines, Iowa, or somewhere.
Right.
People who have also built some really good stadiums
Yes.
of late. Like as much as we hate the Cowboys, you have to admit that is an amazing stadium.
So it
You know,
will be, the Trump Stadium will be designed by professionals.
right. And it's gonna look like it's gonna very much
Stir in
look
the
like
pot.
a giant phallus right now, is what I'm hearing. Or
Well,
actually,
I thought
this
it was
is
going to have a
yeah.
giant swath of combed over hair at the top. That's what I thought it was going to look like.
Well, but
Oh.
but no, it's a permanent fixture. It's not a wig.
Oh, just as long as we stay away from the design style of the Raider Stadium, because
Yeah.
granted it may look great lit up, but man, when I first drove by it this weekend just to see what it looks like, my first impression was it looked like a crock pot.
Well, of the three of us, I have been in Allegiant Stadium, and I can say that it was the source of the most disappointing concert I have ever seen in my life.
Really, just aesthetics or acoustics? What?
Well,
How
it was
so?
acoustics. It was horrible. I saw AC/DC at Allegiant Stadium last
Mhm.
year,
Right.
and what little I heard and saw of it, the band itself was good, but the problem with that stadium is where I was on the floor, we could not hear the vocals at all.
Right.
And we couldn't see the stage either, and so it was basically listening to Malcolm Young play guitar, or not
Right.
Malcolm Young, Angus Young. Malcolm's
Yeah.
dead, and that was all it was for 2 hours. So I was bitterly disappointed in that, and I blame the stadium for that.
You don't blame AC/DC at all for it.
Well, I mean, I would assume Brian Johnson was singing the songs. I just couldn't hear it because of the way the sound bounced around in that place.
Yeah, I mean, well, that is kind of the catch with like and I don't want to get audio nerd, but it's very different, I'm sure, doing acoustics in those indoor stadiums versus outdoor stadiums.
And I wasn't the only one. I mean, there were other people in
Yeah.
other parts of the stadium that
Oh,
had
I
the
believe
same
you.
issue. Yeah.
That I believe.
Yeah.
Serious music fans are going to be very particular about that kind of thing.
Well,
So,
I mean, I don't think it's very serious music fans are like overly demanding to say, I would like to hear the vocals.
right.
That's not
Right.
really a
Oh,
high,
that's being awfully
high
demanding, actually. I
yeah,
think.
it is.
Come on
Yeah.
now.
Or see the stage, see any part of the stage,
Right. Right.
except on a video.
Well, yeah, that's Stadium Acts, man. Stadium Acts are tough.
But I'm telling you, it's not that it was far away. It's that I could not see the stage at all.
Well, I guess, and I don't know how specific you want to get. Where were you seated?
It was on the
You're not
back
in
of the. I did not really choose these seats, but I was on the
Right.
back of the floor.
Okay, because as you say, you're not a nosebleed guy at this point. I know that.
No, no.
But I expect you to be at least, bottom tier somewhere.
Again, I didn't choose
Yeah.
this in this case,
Sure.
but
Sure.
in that particular spot and kind of the back of the floor, could not see the stage, could not hear the
Back of the
vocals.
floor is a tough spot for
Yeah,
stage.
never again.
I'm
I'm never going back to Allegiant Stadium for a concert. I can guarantee you that.
All right, so Steve's out on that. So I know we don't want to get too into stadium talk right now. That's like an off-season topic, but it will be interesting to see as they start going along. And I go by RFK all the time. It's basically down to like the bare bones. They've even like there's entire sections that are completely gone from.
I just think the only thing
ground
people need to know is that this architect is
Mhm.
a professional. They've done
Right.
stadiums. It's not a clown show.
Right.
They
Right.
hired the right group. That's all you need to know.
Yeah, there were only probably two, like I said, or maybe three major firms that could do a stadium like this. And
Well, I mean,
yeah,
that have experience in doing it.
right.
There's a
That do
handful in that
yeah,
most.
right, that do all the stadiums basically in the
Right.
United States. Yeah, that's what I was kind of getting at. And HKS is one of the I think they're probably the best one at this point. Just as a nerd.
I
So
really
I
don't
wonder if they'll
remember.
keep the moat.
Oh, you want to keep the moat?
I said I
Let's
wonder if
hope
they
not.
will.
Listen, I can't think of an easier way to get into premises liability problems than putting a moat in. Okay, so
What if
no
we added a
moat.
diving board to the moat? Because I know that's
That
also a
would make it
liability.
worse. That does not make it better. That makes it
No,
worse.
no. One of those weird things you
Uh,
learn in life. Diving boards are basically illegal now. It's very sad.
Well, from my perspective, it's, again, there's one set of premises liability problems with a moat. Then you multiply those premises liability problems by putting something that allows people to dive into the
the
moat.
moat, and
Yeah.
then we're amplifying even more, Steve, with lots and lots of alcohol.
Yeah, I know. And let's just put alligators in there while you're at it,
Oh,
Just
alligators will
complete
never live in this climate. It gets too cold.
piranhas, fine.
Piranhas. All right, we're going with piranhas, and they're easy to replace. All
So
right.
no moat.
All right, speaking of feeding people to piranhas, let's talk about that game over there in
Oh yes,
Spain.
let's.
The game in Spain was, very
The
boring and
game in
plain.
Spain on the plane.
Yeah,
Okay, so obviously Washington lost this game in overtime by a score of 16-13 to the formerly 3-7, now 4-7 Miami Dolphins. Marcus Mariota was 20 for 30, 213 yards, one touchdown, one interception, quarterback rating of 84.4. Chris Rodriguez, the leading rusher, one of his better games, and get into that. 15 carries, 79 yards, along with 17. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt was 9 for 28. Jeremy Nichols 4 for 13. Marcus Mariota 4 for 49. The leading receiver was Deebo Samuel 7 for 74 yards and a touchdown on 8 targets. Zach Ertz 4 for 42 on 8 targets. Chris Moore 2 for 28. Jacoby Jones 1 for 25. Jeremy Nichols 2 for 16. And a bunch of people had one catch for practically no yards. On defense, Bobby Wagner yet again led the team in tackles with 8. Jeremy Reeves was next with 7. We'll skip Matt. We'll skip punter for just a moment. Tua from Miami, Tua Tagovailoa was 14 for 20, 171 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions, quarterback rating 96. Devon Achane, right?
yeah, a chain. Yeah.
HN.
HN, thank you. 21 carries, 120 yards, 5.7 yards per carry. Ollie Gordon, 9 for 45. Jalen Waddle was the leading receiver, 352. Achane was second with 5 for 45. Now, well, and obviously we'll get into this, but Matt Gay was 2 for 4 on field goals, of course. There's no point in playing the Trustway game because he only had one punt, 1 for 41 yards, so that's no fun. At least they're going to lose. Let's get close with the
Let's get Tressway back into that MVP conversation.
Yeah, I
with a lot of
know.
punts.
Yeah,
Right.
right.
All
Yeah.
right. And that is stats. Actually, I want to throw in there that somebody named Chase Edmonds was the kick returner, who most of you don't know. He was elevated from the practice squad. That's where he comes from. 4 for 93. And then the punt returns, they had 2 punt returns for 0 yards. So congratulations to Mike Sanderson and Jalen Lane for getting no yards whatsoever. And that is stats.
Look, I mean, there's more we can talk about with Sanderson there too.
Yes, we will. Don't worry.
Yep,
we'll
and
get
we
there.
will. I do. We're gonna have to have like a special team segment with this one.
You want to just hit it right up front?
No, because I think that's
No?
gonna be where the bitch fest happens at the end,
Okay.
right? Like
All right.
that's where we're gonna need to vent. All right, let's start with the offense. I think as it was. Look, Rodriguez did a fair job running the ball. Mariota did a fair job as a backup quarterback. We were down at midway through this game. We lost yet another receiver who was one of our top. We were down to one of our top 5 receivers being active on game day from the start of the season. at this point, which is insane. Debo's the only one healthy. Because if you were who are the top 5 going into the season? Terry's out, Brown's out, Luke McCaffrey's out, and Jalen Lane's out. Those were your other they're not all starters, but your top 5
on the roster.
Right.
There are 7 receivers on the active roster right now: Traylon Burks, Robbie Chosen, Jacoby Jones, Jalen Lane, Terry McLaurin, Chris Morrissey, Debo Samuel. Like you said, McLaurin, Samuel, and Lane are hurt. And
well, Samuel's not hurt. Samuel's the only one.
Well, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
McLaurin and Lane are hurt.
Right.
And so Traylon Burks, Robbie Chosen, Jacoby Jones, and Chris Moore, all of them were scrap heap pickups.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
During the season.
How we're even able to throw for 100 yards a game is kind of mind blowing with that.
It's amazing.
With that receiving core.
I would say this, that I think, frankly, Marcus Mariota was about as effective as Jane Daniels has been when he's been in this year. Neither one of them have been great. But, I mean, Mariota's a pro at this, and he looks competent,
Right.
And the other thing about this game I think I want to throw out there is they got away from Chris Rodriguez too early.
They did a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, they started throwing Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt in there. He wasn't nearly as effective, and they just never came back to him. Like if you look at the, I didn't hit the third quarter stats because I just missed them. I forgot. But at halftime, Rodriguez had 10 carries. He only got 5 carries in all the second half, and I want to say those are all or most in the third quarter.
Yeah,
from what I can remember.
Yeah, I look, I think you need to spell a guy. Like, you can't just use one running back every down.
Right.
Yeah, but no, Rodriguez was playing well up till they kind of took him out for a while. I don't
know why you couldn't give him 20 carries. So what?
No, you could, but I'm saying even if you're giving him 20 carries, he can't be in there 100% of the snaps.
But they just kind of took him out and benched him.
Right, and didn't go back to him. Really.
No, and he was clearly, I mean, these guys have gone backward and forth, in terms of who's effective one week or another. Right. Sometimes neither of them are. Right. It was Rodriguez's day, and I think they should have just let it run with it, especially considering it was the bye week and everything coming up.
I've never quite understood their philosophy at how they're rotating these running backs around.
I just think they're just trying to find something in Krosky-Merritt and hoping that what he was the first couple of games will be coming down the stretch. And they're also probably seeing where he truly is going into the offseason. If they have to address a running back or not, because this is Rodriguez's last year anyway. So, I mean,
it doesn't have to be.
It doesn't have to be, but I get a feeling that they might just revamp this entire backfield in this all season, given Krosky, and they want to see if Krosky-Merritt can fit into that picture or not. But
he's just way too inconsistent.
No, I agree. I just think
the team would have done better for itself if they had played the hot hand and let Rodriguez stay in there.
Right. I agree with you completely. I also wonder, though, like, how are they figuring out who the hot hand's going to be? Because, like...
Well, the guy's gaining yards.
No, I know, but
obvious.
I do think you have to give everyone some reps early. Like, I would rather, all right, try them, give them all 2 or 3 carries early on in, like, the first quarter. Who did best? All right, that's our hot hand guy. Let's try him for a while. That's how I would do it, psychologically speaking. Like, but I don't know. I don't know how they kind of say, all right, this is going to be Rodriguez's day early on, and then they go away from him later. That's what doesn't make sense to me, like you were saying. All right, can we talk about Zach Ertz for a minute?
Sure, let's do.
Dude.
What about him? He fell.
He fell on one catch that he made, and then he kind of just had the old man stumble, or the middle-aged man stumble. The old man stumbles when you fall over. The middle-aged man is when you get up and you start going like, nope, my knee's not going to do that anymore.
He's an old man by NFL standards. He's an old man.
But we've all had that moment, right, where your knees just buckle on you all of a sudden. And you're like, no. Yeah. Yeah.
Not in an NFL game.
No, not in NFL, but in life. In just like... You get on a treadmill, Steve, and you're like, nope, not going to make that motion right now for a minute.
I can't honestly say I've ever had that.
No?
Except when I've had a clearly sprained knee.
Oh, okay. You're very lucky. Every once in a while that happens for me.
Okay, well, fair
But
enough.
I've got a
But
history of
look,
bad knees.
here's
Yeah.
yeah, I've got a bad right knee. Um, look, Ertz is old. Ertz is also their most reliable receiver.
Yeah. Yeah. Both true.
And yeah, I mean, and they have to play him. And we've got these fans out there who, who are just vehemently opposed to anybody who's been in the NFL more than 5 years playing a down at this point. They want the whole practice squad out there playing, and the season's over. Oh my God! And let's bench everybody who's a veteran. That's crazy. That's not what NFL teams do.
No.
The NFL teams still try to win, and Zach Ertz is the guy who's the most capable tight end. Not to say Ben Sinat shouldn't get attempts because he should, but they're not gonna bench him. And yeah, Zach Ertz fell down. I mean it
Right.
happens. It's
I,
kind
I,
of funny and it was ironic about when it happened, but
right. Right. I'm not in the you bench him camp. I am in the I want to see a lot more of the young guys because I
Right.
do think a serious like talk needs to be had amongst the coaching staff of like, all right, what's the plan here? Is it to win games now or is it to help build this team for next year?
that is not how NFL coaches think.
Right.
Okay,
And
they don't do that.
and that's why they get fired so often, partly.
It just NFL teams try to win every time. They really do. It's certainly there are some teams that have given up in week 17 and stuff
Right.
sometimes
Well,
occasionally,
so
but,
Steve,
but they don't
there's
they
a
don't do
difference
that.
in. I'm not saying you're trying to tank, which is kind of how some people take what I'm saying. You're trying to win, yeah, but you're also trying to develop these younger players and
And
learn how to
see,
win with them.
and this is where I'm going to go right to the Philadelphia Eagles because in the last couple of years of Wentz, before they went to Hurts, they played down the stretch because Wentz because the team was out of it. The team wasn't playing really well, so instead of playing their high-priced quarterback, they decided to bench him, put in Hurts, see what he was, and they played a bunch of other younger guys, and they were playing lesser of their veterans that they had. And what happened? They were able to see what they had down the stretch. They found out what they kind of
Mhm.
had in Hurts, and they built the offense around what his skill set was. And yeah, because that's one of the reasons why Malalata is one of the best left tackles in the game because they gave him that opportunity. And he's a seventh round pick, and he's one of the best
Mhm.
left tackles in the game. It's just I get what you're saying, Steve, and I agree on the most part. You're not going to sit there and bench your veteran players, and most teams are going to play to win the game. I get all that, but sometimes, and the Eagles, I'll lean on them again. They are, you call them exceptions to the rule or whatever. Howie Roseman and that staff realize where the team is at, where they need to go, and they need to find out how these younger guys fit into that
I'm
direction.
not even
And
saying you're
they've done
wrong.
so
I'm
well.
Yeah.
just I'm just saying NFL teams by and large don't do that.
No, you're right. I agree with
The
that
Eagles
part.
seem to
Yes.
be an outlier in that
Yeah.
regard.
Well, see,
And
Right.
that's
also the
why.
other thing is Washington doesn't have a whole lot of guys that deserve to play over these veterans either. Maybe you could say tight end is one of those positions.
Right.
But who are you going to bench Bobby Wagner for? For example, would you like to review the
Yeah, I mean,
linebackers on the roster?
McGee
Let's
is
do, shall
so
we?
they are doing it a little at linebacker because McGee is getting more playing time.
Yeah, but I
Yeah.
mean, here's the sum total of linebackers. Ali Cahoe, who was out with a concussion, Jordan McGee, who's already getting a ton of snaps, Kane Madrano, who's been active for a total of 2 games,
Right.
Wagner, Nick Bellore, who is formerly a fullback, now a full-time special teams guy, basically. Frankie Lou,
Right.
who's a starter, and Von Miller, who's an old edge rusher. I mean, that's it.
Yeah,
There's no one to
they don't
bench him
have
for.
anyone
Right.
at linebacker worth
No.
doing it
No.
for. I mean, I would like to see Madrano play some, but like you said, he's only been
You're not
active for
just going to
a few
throw,
games.
especially Bobby Wagner's the defensive signal caller. They're not just going to throw
Right.
somebody out there that's not realistic.
No, I get
The
that.
reason why I'm railing on it is it was in our comment section. There's people in our comment
Right.
section. Just,
Well, see,
Bobby Wagner and Zach Ertz should never play
yeah,
again. That's crazy.
yeah, and to your point, this is where Eagles are a stark difference. They had the depth and the young guys to be able to do what they
Right.
did too. Now across the board, like you said, see, we don't have that depth to do that. But when you're bringing up these receivers off, just off the streets and up and down off the where's Ja'Cory Brooks? I mean, yeah, he was an undrafted free agent, but he's got size, he got speed.
Right.
I mean,
He got hurt. I mean, what do you want? That was
well, I
part of
mean, but he's been healthy in the last few weeks, though, hasn't
yeah, but
He's been healthy.
yeah, yes.
But I mean, I'm saying, I mean, I'm not saying make him a starter, but I'm saying at least give him 3 targets, something. And that's, I think, like guys like that, when you're bringing in guys like Robbie Chosen and these other guys, I mean, why are you not giving him a shot? Now, granted, this team is very limited, to your point, Steve, on who they can do that with. And I think there's only a select, maybe like 3 guys, maybe in this roster you'd like to see a little more of,
Well,
which
I
speaks
mean,
to the
it's got to
lack
be
of depth that
said
this
that
team
the
has.
guy you're talking about is a practice squatter, okay?
Yes.
I mean, and you can only elevate practice squatters I've something like 3 or 4 games before you have to do something with them.
Right.
That's why they signed Robbie Anderson slash Chosen
Right.
because they can elevate him anymore. And so when you're talking about a practice squad, you got to wait for somebody else to get hurt before you can bring him up.
Right.
In
Now,
terms of Jalen, Ja'Cory Brooks, what I'm talking about.
yeah. But I mean, there is an issue just in general where at this point, I feel like, as they've been bringing in guys to, replace, injured players, I'm kind of good on 30-something-year-old wide receiver, stepping in. I would much rather see more of Jacoby Jones, who's a rookie, and he fills a need that they have at rookie long term, right? Like they need to find that 6'3" big wide receiver.
Yeah.
Like they don't have that, and every team needs at least one or two of those that they can use. So like keep playing him. He had one good catch. Let's see if we can do that more. You know. So like things like that, I'm just all for get these guys some playing time because you need to see what you have. You need to see like can Benson not do it or not. If he can't be that number one tight end, we need to draft a tight end. Like we can't we whiffed on
I'm
him and
okay with
move
getting
on.
all these guys more playing time, but just
Yeah.
the concept that these fans want, which is just start the practice squad, seems like, and the backups is just utterly unrealistic.
Right.
NFL teams don't do that. I mean, it's one thing like basketball teams tank in the
Right.
NBA sometimes, but NFL teams don't tank
Right.
intentionally like they just don't. The Eagles are one of the few that would be willing to do
Right.
that.
Right.
And besides, I think your draft analysis anyway proves that, what are you really tanking for anyway?
Right. I
You know
mean,
what I mean?
it's a unicorn to have like a seventh rounder become like a solid, big time
Right.
starter.
Well, I
It's a
mean,
unicorn.
yeah, at this point, like I'm not big on tanking. Like you really only are tanking to see how high of that first pick can become, right? Like that's what you really tank for is
Yep.
hoping for a top 5 pick. Because, even though you're like you said, your analysis shows that there's still a high failure rate, it's
This
much
is a high
safer in the
failure rate in the first round.
right.
Yeah.
But you're still you're going to be a little safer in the top 5 than the bottom 5 of the first round.
Oh,
You know.
absolutely. But I'm telling you, I mean, if you go back to my series of
Right.
draft columns, the top 10 fail at a higher rate than you might expect.
No, I know. I remember that part very well about
Yeah.
your what
Yeah.
you wrote. Uh, yeah, I don't know. Like I just want to see more playing time. I'm not saying anyone's getting benched permanently because it's the NFL. You can't. No one never sees the field except for the third string quarterback generally in the NFL.
I'm just saying
Yeah.
Washington does not have a deep roster
No, they don't.
No.
at all.
And they don't have a deep roster and they don't have a deep young roster.
No. No, not at all. Yeah,
They
Ben
have
Sinnott probably
10
needs more
guys.
playing time.
They have 10 guys under 25. I just counted.
They have
That's
one of
it.
the oldest rosters in the NFL.
Right. And they need to draft and improve it. But all right,
Yes.
let's get back to the offense.
Okay.
I don't think there was a whole lot to talk about because it's a low-scoring game. I think they took care of the ball well. Um, on the larger issue of special teams, I highly question some offensive play calling that happened throughout the game. specifically one on that final drive, of course. Let's just settle at the 40 and not like go for another chunk play to get closer to field goal range. I don't know what that
Yeah,
was
I don't know
about.
who thought that kicking a 57-yard field goal was a winner
Right.
idea.
Go for 5. Make it
Well,
53.
that wouldn't have been a
You
good
know,
idea with
Right.
Justin Tucker out there, much less,
right.
that's not a
Yeah.
guarantee, much less a questionable kicker.
Right.
That's
Right.
crazy. And just
Trying.
generally speaking, the offense, by the way, I think applies to the Dolphins too. Both these teams gave up a ton of possessions in the red zone
Yeah.
just by poor
Idiotically at this
play,
point. Yeah.
idiotic play
Yeah.
calling, all kinds of stuff. And it didn't
Right.
reflect well on the coaches, I didn't think.
Right.
No.
If Washington had played it more conservative and gotten lucky on those 2 missed kicks, they'd have 12 more points.
On the other hand, if the Dolphins had just kicked a field goal at the end of the game,
Right.
it wouldn't have gone into overtime at all.
That's true too. Yeah, there were a lot of things like that
Yes.
both
There's a
teams
lot of what ifs.
made some questionable offensive calls. All right,
Yes.
let's talk about the defense. All right, interesting question. Now that Dan Quinn is calling the defense, is the defense better or is Miami just that bad?
It was never
Miami,
going to be better.
no. Miami was a much less team than the Detroit Lions.
Well,
Right.
that's not news. That
I
part,
know it's not
yeah.
news. That's what I'm saying. I mean, they were always going to be. It was always going to be a lower scoring game.
Sure.
No,
Sure.
what I think that they looked slightly more creative. I think there was
Yeah.
a corner blitz in there.
Right.
They looked slightly more motivated, but I think it's because they embarrassed themselves last week more so than like Dan Quinn calling the plays.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think play calling matters as much on defense as talent, but I do agree there was signs more of what is a Dan Quinn defense, and that is you are bringing those corner blitzes and exotic blitzes. You're trying to confuse the quarterback a little more with pressure in that way. Joe Witt was a lot less original in terms of blitzing. It was usually just like sending one linebacker, and that was about it.
And that's the one thing. That's the one thing it's kind of a head scratcher to me with the hire of Joe Witt, because Dan Quinn, his entire career, he knows obviously what he wants to do, the direction he goes, how he decides his blitzes and everything. I mean, he should know full well the style of coach Joe Witt was. I mean, I get it if he thought he was a little bit conservative, why can kind of get him to be a little more aggressive and be a little more exotic on his schemes.
Maybe.
But Joe Witt was nowhere near close to anything Dan Quinn has ever was in Dallas as a DC or even in Seattle. So I'm not even sure what he even saw in Joe Witt to bring as defensive coordinator. That's not to say that he was a bad defensive coordinator because, as you said many times, Steve, it's execution by this team, this defense. These players just aren't executing. Like, Quan Martin again, not tackling because he just doesn't know how to. Things like that, and you can't hold Witt accountable for things like that. But you don't see schematically, you do see a difference between what Dan Quinn does and what Joe Witt does, which is almost like 180.
It's a little bit, yeah. I mean, I think Joe Witt was more a fall guy than anything.
Well,
He was.
yeah, I agree with that, sure.
I
But
don't think we
I'm just
disagree.
talking about the schematic of the defense on how
It
he
was a little
called it. You
different.
bring the corner.
It was a little different, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
If
of
you,
course, they're going to give up like 50 points to the Broncos, so probably. We'll talk
Probably,
about
yeah.
that next week, but
here's what I'd say about the Joe Witt thing. If you gave Joe Witt a team like the Giants Super Bowl defense, where they had Strahan and who was it? Just they had like a bunch of just good pass rushing
the guy
offensive
who blew
linemen.
up his finger.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
guy. But if you
Airball.
give Joe Witt a defense built like that, where he doesn't where he can play conservative and still get good pressure, and he'll just rush 4 guys and everyone drop, he'll be fine. Like any conservative coach will do fine with that. If you don't have that level of talent, though, you need to be more creative and you need to adjust your play calling to what your guys do well, which
Right.
is where he struggled, frankly. So, but I do think it did look a little better. There's a Miami
It
Mirage.
looked better. It looked, but it's the Dolphins.
Right. It's the yeah. I agree. That's why it's the Miami Mirage right there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fair enough. Yeah, the Miami Mirage.
Yeah. So that
I
kind
think
of
you
covers.
found your show title, Alex.
I will make a little note about that show title while while you guys talk on the next topic. The secondary though, that's the one thing I want to touch on. It's obviously a depleted secondary, but even they seem to play pretty well for being as depleted as they are.
I mean, yet again, Amon-Ra St. Brown is not out there.
Oh, but Miami has
No,
decent
well,
receivers.
actually, the receivers that they had were pretty decent. You had Waddle out there. You had Malik Washington, who's a good receiver. You have H.N. coming out of the backfield. That are on the Gatson tight ends, a young guy. He's a good athletic tight end. Receivers wise, they're not the worst in the league. They're okay.
I didn't say they were worse than
But
the league, but they're not
right.
elite.
No.
Oh well, I mean not elite, sure, but I think for
Washington's
what
faced some elite receivers this year.
And
but for
Washington might
what
be the worst in the league at receiver at this point.
but for what Washington had a field for corners, I think that in comparison, I think Miami's receiving core talent wise was well beyond what the talent level of Washington's corners were going into that game, and I think they played well in terms of that perspective right there. I guess you could say.
I mean, they weren't terrible. I just think all things in perspective. That's all. It
Right.
was the
Sure.
3-7 Miami Dolphins. Did they
Well-
look terrible? No.
And again, we'll have a larger sample size in the next few weeks about this. But
Yes.
I think those will be things worth looking at and watching. Because as we were talking about with the offense, it's really about looking at this and seeing what can they do for next year as a big
Yeah.
picture kind of situation.
What kind of big contract can they give Marshawn Lattimore to come
Right.
back?
Right. Are we paying him to be the new DC? Because I don't want him on the field.
I mean, that's a thought.
I know one thing, they could certainly go ahead and sit Quan Martin for the rest of the year because I don't care who they have behind him. He's better than Quan Martin, period.
Yeah. Quan Martin, I don't know why he's kind of fallen off a cliff, man. He's was
definitely
decent. Yeah.
no, he was good last year. As he may have regressed far worse than anyone on this roster going in the year 2, and I have no idea why.
But he's in year 3, technically. Because remember,
Yeah.
he was drafted by Rivera.
Yes.
So, which
All right,
should have been a
Alex.
warning. Yeah.
Do you
All
want to
right.
rip the Band-Aid off?
All right. Let's talk about special teams because what a disaster was special teams this game. We'll start with obviously one of the worst things with the Mikey Sandersill fumble. Jeremy Lane gets hurt, our go-to punt returner. For some reason, they throw Sandersill out there, who's never done it in a game. He muffs a punt, which is also I love the term muffed punt. Who came up with that as
Some talking head on television sounds
Yeah.
like.
Yes. No, probably in the 1930s radio booth.
I mean, the broadcast crew tried to give Sandersill a pass a little bit and said that the lights in the stadium were in a different spot because it was the soccer stadium. Okay, I don't know. Catch the ball.
Yeah. One, I agree fully. You just wave and catch the ball, or run away from it and let it bounce and just get the ball back because you're not a punt returner. Just run outside of the field so that even
just
if it
don't
hits
drop it. That's all we ask. Don't drop it.
Don't touch it and drop it for sure.
Right.
But my bigger question is, now I know they don't want Debo getting hurt, but Debo's at least fielded punts. Why isn't he out there waving his hand?
Do you not notice how many receivers are hurt? They cannot afford to have Debo Samuel out there risking life
even
and
getting
limb.
getting touched on a fair catch.
No, not right now. They can't.
It just, I don't you put out a guy who's never caught a punt in a game, and guess what happened? He still has never caught a punt in the game at that point.
Yeah, he still didn't catch one. Yeah,
right.
Sure.
He's -1 now on his career. All right. So that was the first obvious thing. But then, of course, we have the Matt Gay situation. We touched on one thing a little earlier. First, him missing the 51-yarder. All right, it's Matt Gay. We know it's a crapshoot over 50. And at that point in the game, I'm not even that upset about it. I'm just like, it's Matt Gay. He's doing Matt Gay things. Okay, I'll live with that, I guess, because we have to. But we touched on it. What made them think in that last drive, oh, we're good. We're good from here. Like, let's run the ball. It was that the 3? No. The run and 3 yards to Ertz was the first weird, inexplicable thing they did on that drive. But they ran the ball and then they threw a little dump pass again, rather than trying to get into decent field goal range. Because what coach is just like, I'm going to settle this far back? That's just so strange to me. Try and get the ball up as far as you reasonably can and take a chip shot. Don't make it a hard field goal for yourself.
Okay, so let me say this. Yeah, first of all, yeah, I don't understand that. That's crazy. You want to get another 10 yards out of it if you can.
At least, yeah.
But so Matt Gay actually isn't too terrible over 50 if you subtract the last 2 years. Okay? So in 2025, 4 for 9 over 50. 2024, 3 for 9. But if you go to 2021, 22, and 23.
Yeah, he was solid. Something happened to him 2 years ago, and he's been a mess.
He's
ever
19
since.
for 27, which is 70%.
Right.
And then and then for the rest of his career, 8-5 and 1-1. I mean, so it's, I don't know if he lost confidence, or there's an injury, if he changes technique, if he needs glasses, I don't know what. But I have a feeling that the team probably has been hoping all this time that he was going to get back to quote unquote normal, and he just never did.
Oh, I guarantee. I understand that's why they signed him in the first place. They thought that they did exactly what you just said. They looked at his career numbers and said, yeah, but he's been that good for that period of time, and we can get it right. We might get lucky. And they did not get lucky. And
he just didn't get it back. In
Yeah.
the past 2 years, he's 7 for 18.
Right.
Which stinks.
And now he's on the 49ers practice squad.
Ironically.
Yeah, right.
And Steve says ironically because after Washington cut Gay, Washington signs Jake Moody. Who was a 49er. Thank you for...
Who was the 49ers practice squad kicker.
Oh, right. He was on their practice squad, right.
Yes.
He wasn't their active
the
kicker.
49ers in Washington basically traded kickers.
They did a kicker swap.
Yes.
Yep. Which is a little weird given that... Why is San Francisco keeping kickers on their practice squad? That's
clearly somebody's hurt. Who knows?
I guess.
But, so, look. Okay, here's my point. And all you people in our comment section who don't believe in stats, I don't know what to tell you. Matt Gay is a career 84% field goal kicker over the course of 7 seasons.
Sure.
And total from over 50, he is 32 for 54. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
A total in his career. That is 59%. Jake Moody is a career 76% field goal kicker over a shorter period of time, for sure, 5 years. And then he is 50% over 50.
Right.
Statistically, he's a less effective kicker than Matt Gay was.
Yes. And if you really want to worry, Matt Gay was, I don't have his full stats up, but he was at least average, I would say, from that 40 to 49 range.
So in his career, Gay, I do have his stats, was 47 for 54, which is 87%.
Right, fantastic. That's right around where you want to be.
And incidentally, he had not missed one for the only field goal he missed under 30. He only missed one field goal under 50, for Washington this year.
Right. Moody, career 40 to 49, 13 to 21, which is right around 60%. That's not good.
60. That's 61.9%.
61.9.
62.
Yes, Steve's being nice. He's gonna round it up for him.
I rounded up a tenth.
Yeah, Steve's a good guy. He rounded it up 1/10 for you. Uh,
Mr.
that
Optimism.
right, but
Oh, that's
62%
me.
from that range is really. This is like below average college kicking, is what
Possibly
we
that's
just
why the guy was a practice squad kicker.
probably, and I get that, but like he was their
Well,
emergency kicker. I
well,
don't
it
know
just
why
it just
Washington made this move.
it just aids in their ability to tank for the rest of the year. That's all.
Yeah, that's it.
It literally might be that's where Adam Peters.
Honestly, I think they made this move because Dan Quinn got mad at his kicker for missing 2 kickers.
Yeah, I mean
That's it.
it definitely feels like this is a fall guy situation. He
Because
made the kicker.
guess what? Matt Gay didn't play the whole game. Yeah, Matt Gay missed 2 kicks. He missed one very, very important kick.
Yeah.
He also didn't fail in the red zone repeatedly.
Right.
You know, he didn't fall down catching a touchdown, about to catch a touchdown pass. He didn't let the other team score touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
It's not all on Matt Gay. And I'm not
You
trying
know-
to defend the guy. He's a lousy kicker. You don't get me
Right.
wrong.
Right.
But they didn't upgrade. That's my point. They downgraded.
They went from like a 92 Camry to like a burned out 83 I don't know, VW Bug or
K-class
some
car.
kind. Huh?
K-class car. There's
K-class-
there's K-class cars.
Okay. I'll
Remember
take
those
your
K cars back then? From four,
Yeah, I
think it was-
remember him because the military probably bought all the K-class cars because they were all staff cars. They're all military staff cars. Remember that, Dave?
Yeah.
Well, if the military bought them, they might be more reliable than Moody. So I don't know.
Well,
if
the military just bought them in bulk for cheap. That's all it
Yes.
was.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So it's not good. It's really not good. And even as somebody who's like, well, you just go find a good kicker. I know it's hard
Easier
to do it
said
this
than
time.
done in week 12.
Yes, even I can accept that. But
I mean, yeah,
I-
they could have found some USFL dude probably, but
right.
Yeah, like Aubrey.
Yeah.
Bates?
Just stumble into one of those guys.
well,
Yeah.
and to be
Aubrey
fair,
Bates
like
Smiths.
they know this guy. He's from San Francisco. Like Adam
Right.
Peters knows him.
Uh,
Moody,
Adam
I'm talking about.
Adam Peters needs to get over this whole but I had this guy in San Francisco thing.
That's how they all are.
Especially the ones who struggle early. They all like to do this kind of bit. It's not a good bit. You wouldn't have left if you had a great team. I feel like wherever you were.
You're not going to find a kicker in week 12 that's
Oh no, I know.
worth the tinker's damn. That's all.
Yeah.
My point. My point from the beginning for all these people who wanted to argue with me was that statistically, two things or a couple things are true. Statistically, Matt Gay was money under 50.
Right.
Bad over 50, money under 50. And then fact number 2 is that they have downgraded in terms of statistical production,
Right.
which, okay, that's not the future, it's the past, but they downgraded.
Right.
You went from a guy who is money from 49 under to a guy who's money from 39 under. That's literally what you just did.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, because 39, fine. 17 and 19, solid. 29, 18 and 19, solid. Those are numbers you want.
Right.
But, yeah. So now we need to get the ball to the 35. Well, or what is it? That would be the 22. If I'm doing the math right in my head, of where you would need the ball
That
to
would be 39. Yeah, that would be 39. 22
Right.
would be 39-yard kick,
Yep.
yes.
Yeah. So that's what we're talking about now. You got to get right to the outside of the red zone, and now you can kick the field goal safely.
And by the way, all these gyrations basically cost Washington a little over $4.5 million in cap space. In case
Right.
anybody's wondering, because Matt Gay actually had a pretty big dead cap number.
Right.
I mean, his
Ridiculous
dead cap number's over
contact
$4 million.
yeah.
Yeah, and so then they signed the new guy, Moody, to basically a min value contract, and so his cap it's only $400 and something thousand because it's to the end of the year.
Right.
And so the bottom line is they lost a little over $4.5 million in cap space, so now they're down to 25 and change.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. There was a lot of questions on this game. All right. I know we need to do game balls. I really don't know who to give one to. Uh, I'm gonna start going not quite Steve mode. I'm gonna give one to the field crew over there at Real Madrid, who have that crazy field they kept showing how it can like go underground and they store it into a greenhouse to keep the field fresh. I don't know if you guys saw that part of
I
the
did
the
not
game.
see that. No.
Yes,
Interesting.
it's like super advanced because it's now I guess it's an indoor stadium they have there. The field literally like conveyor belts under the stadium to be stored when they're not playing on it in a greenhouse. So I'm gonna give a game ball to them, and that's the only game ball. They get my offense and defensive game balls because
The field crew, huh?
yeah.
I think the fair game ball, I think, is Devon Chain deserves a game ball on
Yeah.
offense. Does he not? He really does.
Yeah.
Um, you know, there is no defense. Actually, I didn't even realize. I'm looking at Miami stats. I didn't even pick up on this. Jordan Brooks, 20 tackles. Definitely gets a game ball.
Wow.
Jordan Brooks gets a game ball. 20 tackles.
Wow.
Did we ever consider not running at Jordan Brooks for a play?
It does, dude. The guy got 20 tackles. God bless that man.
Yeah, that's a day.
No, I'm literally drawing a complete blank. I don't feel like stealing Steve's skit. I don't want to.
Oh, please do. You can steal. It's okay.
I mean, it's just brutal. I'll give it to. Let's see. That's a great. You know what? I'll give it to all the fans who actually traveled out there and showed up for
There
the
you
game,
go.
and they'll get my game balls for actually being there for that team.
Well, that's good of you, Dave, and very smart because the hog farmers might have beaten you up if they ever figured out who you were in like the parking lot at one of these games. So that's a good self-preservation move right there on your part. I do have another game ball that I'll give for complete nonsense, and that is to let's give one to Jose Andres because Spanish tapas is delicious. And so I'm just going to give Jose Andres a game ball because, again, this game was in Spain. Tapas. I love me some potatoes bravas. I love the dates wrapped in bacon. Those are always really good.
Never had any of that.
What? Have you never had tapas?
I don't recall. What is that exactly again?
It's Spanish food, like from
No,
Spain, not Mexican.
I mean, like what's
So the traditional tapas thing is that you order small plates, like small appetizers for the table only. So everything comes in
Okay.
like a little like 3-4 bites kind of deal.
I'm thinking like that's actually a name of a dish itself.
No. It's a style of
I
cuisine.
get you. I get you. Okay. I get
Steve,
Sorry about
I've
that,
decided
kids.
to. Steve had to walk away. Steve, I've decided to also give a game ball to the culinary tradition of tapas. Just delicious Spanish
Amen.
food. Even Steve's all right with that one because he's totally distracted by what's going on in his house. It's fine.
The dog. Yeah.
And Dave gave his game ball to the fans for going out there.
That's fair enough. That's
Yeah.
a good
Yeah.
one. I can respect that.
Yeah.
Certainly no one on the Washington team deserves game balls.
No.
Oh, not
no,
even close.
No.
And you know what? Juan Martin has to give each and every one of them
A
a
game
game ball on his knees.
on it. Ooh, that's a lot of time on your knees. That's no good.
That's fine, and that's fine. That's
If
fine.
you're gonna make anyone do that on their knees, make it Zach Ertz because he'll have some trouble getting up. I think.
They
old
need
man
him
knees.
though. They need him.
Old man knees.
Yeah.
They need him.
All right. Let's move on. Obviously, we don't have a game preview because there's no game next week. It's a bye week preview. And the bye week news is that the NFC East starts Hard Knocks on the 2nd of December. So all 4 NFC East teams get covered in Hard Knocks. I think it's 4 weeks they do this. It's usually
I don't know. I lost
Yeah.
track of it. I watched 10 minutes of it last year, so I don't know.
So if you don't remember, they're starting to do this now where they're going to do Hard Knocks in the season covering teams. They divided amongst 4 teams. That way, you're not getting too focused in on one, and too much information being shared or
HBO is
any of
getting to
that.
the point where it's sort of too much of a good thing, to be perfectly honest.
They
Yes,
are,
I
but
agree.
at the same time, they've realized that the training camp Hard Knocks has gotten a little stale. So that's why
It
they're
gets a
trying
little
these new.
boring. Yeah,
They're trying
unless
these
it's your
new
team.
topics. Yeah. And they keep on covering the same couple teams, which has been the problem.
Well, the
They're
rules are there's a bunch of rules about what team can participate and not participate.
right. But I feel like there are a couple teams that have been there 3 or 4 years now.
Well, again, there's a
Yeah.
reason for it because they
Right.
want to pick the most popular team that doesn't switch coaches and isn't a playoff team.
Right. Right. That's why Dallas has been covered a few times.
Yes. Well, and Jerry
Yeah.
Jones is enough of a narcissist to want to be on TV whenever he can, too.
Well, yeah.
Very
Yeah.
true.
So true. All right, so that'll be happening. And then the other bit of news that we should briefly mention, the Week 13 game on November 30th, which I guess is our first game back from the bye week against Denver. There was a lot of talk going on that they might flex this game out of prime time. This is going to be a Sunday night football game. The NFL has come out and said they're not going to flex it out. So sorry, Dave. And sorry to you,
Hoping
Steve.
and praying that Jaden Daniels will return for the
Right.
sake of ratings.
Right. That is exactly
Actually-
what's going on.
Actually, I have a guy who works as a Broncos fan who already inquired about buying my tickets, so more than likely he'll be going in my place anyway.
I don't blame you. I'd do the same thing.
Yes.
Yeah, these are the seasons where you make some of your money back. I get it.
And
Totally.
thankfully they play the Cowboys on Christmas Day because I'll probably end up getting a good penny for that for Cowboy fans for a Christmas gift for them to go out and watch the game on that day. So those tickets are actually all out there too, already up and ready to go.
Dave's actually just going to start selling his tickets on the show, I think. But by the
Call Dave. If you want tickets to any game or raining, call Dave. Email
Right.
us at thehogsty@gmail.com and we'll pass you on to Dave's
right.
account.
He actually has really decent seats too. Just
Yeah.
for
And
the
as his
record.
attorney, I will represent him in the transaction.
for your normal 15%.
No, not contingency. It's $500 an hour, man. What are you talking
Oh,
about?
okay. All right. All right. Well, so those were the two topics that we also had there.
Weekend's okay to end early.
All right, we're gonna call it. We got 4 minutes, but we are done with this show. We will.
There's no
talk to you
reason
all.
to keep talking about this.
I could.
Unless
we
want to
can
talk
talk about. We've always said we can talk about anything for an hour. My point is,
what
I mean,
Dave,
as sad as it's been,
Dave,
no.
Unless we want to talk about the new leaks for Avengers Doom
No,
coming out
I
next
haven't
year.
seen them yet. I haven't seen
No,
them
not
I'm
yet.
hanging
Oh,
up.
there's some good leaks out there.
I'm
I've
hanging
not
up. If
seen
you guys get
any
into
of
that,
them
I'm
yet.
gone from this show.
I know what I'm gonna have to do now while I'm waiting for the show to download. So we will talk to you all next week.
Later.
Later.
God, superhero stuff. Jesus.